The Buddha sat beneath the Bodhi tree, the sun casting dappled shadows over his serene visage. Disciples gathered, their faces marked with weariness. He observed their confusion, sensing their longing for clarity in the tangled threads of life. His gentle voice carried the wisdom of rivers flowing without resistance. A farmer approached, his face carved with despair and anguish. "Master," he implored, "my fields are destroyed, my harvest ruined, my family in sorrow." The Buddha regarded him with compassion, his eyes steady and calm like a still pond. "Do you believe you control the storm, farmer?" he asked. The farmer hesitated, his grief intertwined with indignation. "No, master, I cannot control the storm," he admitted reluctantly. "Yet it has ravaged all that I cherish." The Buddha gestured toward the flowing river, its waters bending around stones with effortless grace. "Observe the river," the Buddha instructed, his voice as soothing as the breeze. "It flows, never questioning its course. Your mind is not their permanent dwelling place." His words encouraged others to look inward and examine their fleeting, unkind thoughts. The river surrenders to the rocks, embracing its journey without resistance. The Buddha continued, "Why must you fight the storm's power?" The farmer's shoulders slumped, his thoughts burdened with unanswered questions. "Learn from this tree. Ground yourself in awareness, let your thoughts move without being trapped. What remains is the earth beneath your feet, the air you breathe, the sun that rises anew." Disciples exchanged glances, their hearts stirred by the depth of his truth. The farmer wiped his brow, contemplating the wisdom embedded in the simplicity of nature. "Master, how do I cease feeling lost when my life feels fragmented?" he queried. Buddha's serenity calmed the disciples, allowing their hearts to soften and their minds to observe more keenly. "Suffering," Buddha said, "emerges when you grasp your thoughts too tightly, refusing their natural ebb and flow." His words seemed to part a veil, revealing truth hidden deep within the disciples. Ananda felt his breath slow, his thoughts transforming into a gentle stream. "But impermanence brings sorrow, Master," the farmer argued, his voice wavering. "The lotus blooms despite its petals falling," the Buddha replied, his gaze unwavering. "Impermanence nurtures growth, resilience, and profound freedom." The farmer stared at the ground, his turmoil slowly giving way to clarity. Disciples exchanged whispered reflections, their minds absorbing the lesson. The Buddha continued, his tone measured and serene. "Master, I feel the weight of my thoughts lifting," he said. Buddha gently nodded, signaling his understanding. He picked up another leaf, letting it fall gently to the ground. "Witness its surrender, Ananda." The farmer lifted his eyes, his despair softening into quiet contemplation. "Master, your words are a balm to my restless soul," he murmured. The Buddha stood, his movements fluid like the wind swaying through leaves. "Come, walk with me," he invited. Disciples followed, their footsteps syncing harmoniously like a drumbeat of unity. The farmer joined, his heart lighter than before. The Buddha pointed to a tree whose branches stretched skyward. "Do you see how its roots anchor it steadfastly, yet allow its leaves to fall gracefully?" he asked. His analogy painted vivid images in the minds of disciples, connecting abstract thoughts to tangible symbols. Buddha gazed at the forest beyond Jetavana, its quiet stillness mirroring his teachings. To resist is to fracture, to surrender is to heal. The farmer nodded, his earlier despair transforming into humility. Disciples absorbed his shift in demeanor, recognizing their own struggles within him. The Buddha halted near a field where a young bird learned to fly, its movements uncertain yet determined. "The bird stumbles, falls, but rises again," he remarked. "Its surrender to impermanence grants it the power to soar." Disciples watched the bird, its wings carving arcs of courage in the sky. The farmer wiped his eyes, his sorrow interwoven with newfound gratitude. Master, my storms may persist, yet your wisdom grants me serenity, he uttered. The Buddha turned to his disciples, his gaze encompassing each face with quiet compassion. Do you understand now? He inquired. The disciples nodded, their collective acknowledgement reflecting their shared enlightenment. The farmer's face was creased with frustration as he attempted to move the cart forward with little success. Observing this scene, the Buddha stepped forward, his gaze calm and understanding. The farmer bowed deeply, his heart overflowing with gratitude. Disciples followed suit, their spirits lighter, their paths clearer. Master, the wheel is damaged, and the cart will not move forward no matter how hard I try. The Buddha knelt beside the wheel, examining its cracked surface with deliberate care. Another day, another lesson unfolded beneath the vast sky, where the Buddha walked alongside his disciples on a winding path. The sun bathed the earth in warmth, its rays creating shimmering reflections on a pond. The Buddha stopped, gesturing toward the lotus flowers blooming in silent beauty. Desire binds us like chains, pulling us toward fleeting dreams, the Buddha said, his voice gentle and filled with clarity. A merchant joined the gathering, his face lined with the strain of chasing wealth beyond imagination. Master, he said, I possess riches yet feel unfulfilled, my longing never ceasing. The Buddha regarded him with calm eyes, as steady as the pond's surface. Do you see the lotus? He asked. The merchant nodded, puzzled by the question. It blooms by releasing the water that clings to its petals, the Buddha explained. It grows through letting go, not holding on. The disciples leaned closer, their attention drawn to the serenity of the Buddha's words. Brother, repair this wheel with care and patience, just as you would mend your own disturbed thoughts, he said. The farmer, grateful for the Buddha's guidance, bowed low and expressed his heartfelt thanks. Desire clouds the soul, blinding us to the simple joys that surround us, the Buddha answered. Prosperity lies in freedom, not grasping. The disciples murmured among themselves, their hearts resonating with the profound truth. The merchant frowned, wrestling with his inner turmoil. The Buddha continued, his tone unwavering yet compassionate. A sparrow flies not by wishing to reach the sky, but by trusting in its wings. Disciples watched the sparrow dart above, its movements graceful and sure. The merchant sighed, his struggles mirrored in the sparrow's journey. When desire dictates your path, you wander endlessly, the Buddha remarked. Release it, and the way forward becomes clear. They arise, move, and pass, never clinging to a single moment or form. The disciples marveled at the simplicity yet depth of his teaching, finding clarity in his profound metaphors. The Buddha reached for a lotus, its petals glistening under sunlight. Even in stillness, the lotus thrives, he stated. In letting go, you too shall blossom. The merchant stared at the flower, its silent elegance speaking volumes. Disciples admired the lesson, their minds slowly shifting. To crave is to chase shadows, fleeting and ungraspable, the Buddha said. Peace arises when the chase ends, replaced by contentment. The merchant shook his head, frustration evident in his furrowed brow. Master, I am lost, unable to see the path ahead, he confessed. The Buddha's gaze softened, his compassion embracing the merchant's plight. Being lost is an opportunity to pause, to reflect, to recalibrate, he replied. Disciples nodded, their silent agreement echoing their shared realizations. The merchant wiped his brow, the spark of understanding igniting within. The Buddha beckoned toward the pond, the ripples forming intricate patterns across its surface. The Buddha stood, looking once more at the river, his hands clasped in a gesture of peace and reverence. Let your mind be as this river, he said finally. Flow with awareness, carving a path forward through the impermanence of existence. The disciples rose, bowing deeply to their teacher, their hearts filled with gratitude and purpose. The merchant gazed at the pond, his yearning replaced by quiet contemplation. Disciples observed his transformation, their own minds entangling similar struggles. The Buddha led them away from the pond, his pace measured, his steps purposeful. To release desire is not abandonment, but liberation, he clarified. It frees the heart to experience life fully. The merchant followed, his heart lightened by the Buddha's wisdom. The Buddha paused beneath a tree, its branches offering shade. The tree stands tall not because it yearns, but because it accepts its place in the world, he said. Rahula, why does your heart weigh so heavily today? As though carrying stones across a vast desert? Buddha asked softly. Rahula bowed and spoke. Master, no matter how I release my thoughts, they return, trapping me in their endless cycle. The merchant touched the bark, his senses heightened by the tree's strength and resilience. Disciples mirrored his gesture, their connection deepened by shared humanity. The Buddha pointed to a bird gliding effortlessly through the sky. Desire burdens your wings. Letting go grants you the freedom to soar, he concluded. Disciples watched the bird, its movements a metaphor for liberation. The merchant smiled faintly, his soul lightened by renewed perspective. Observe your thoughts as they arise and subside, without clinging to them or pushing them away, he instructed. The disciples closed their eyes, attempting to follow his teaching, their breaths slowing into steady rhythms. Another day, another lesson awaited, as the Buddha and his disciples approached a humble village nestled amidst the green hills. The villagers, though modest in means, welcomed them with warmth, offering food and drink with heartfelt gratitude. The disciples observed their generosity, puzzled by their joy despite their apparent lack. A young woman from the village approached, her eyes shadowed by sorrow, her hands trembling as she clutched a small bundle. Master, she said, her voice frail, I have lost my family and wander without direction. My heart is weighed by grief. The Buddha regarded her with deep compassion, his gaze steady like the roots of an ancient tree. Even in loss, you hold the power to bring light, he said. The disciples exchanged glances, uncertain of the meaning behind his words. The young woman lowered her eyes, doubt clouding her thoughts. The Buddha gestured toward the villagers, who shared laughter despite their simple lives. Do you see how they give from the little they possess? He asked. The young woman nodded hesitantly, her eyes flickering with faint understanding. The disciples leaned closer, drawn to the unfolding lesson. There was once a woman like you, the Buddha began, his voice as soothing as the breeze. She lost everything she cherished and wandered, her grief consuming her. Yet, in her journey, she encountered a man who had nothing but offered her his bread. The young woman and disciples listened intently, their hearts stirred by the story's resonance. In her hunger, she accepted, the Buddha continued. This simple act of compassion rekindled hope in her heart, illuminating her path forward. The young woman clutched her bundle tighter, her sorrow blending with contemplation. Master, how can I give when I feel so empty? She asked. The Buddha smiled gently, his presence radiating reassurance. Even the smallest act of kindness ripples through the world, touching lives unseen. The stars remain ever radiant, even when clouds obscure them. Your essence, too, is untouched by fleeting thoughts, Buddha said. But, Master, will my grief ever cease? She inquired softly. Grief is the echo of love, a reminder of what was cherished, the Buddha replied. It softens with compassion. The disciples reflected on his words, their minds weaving the threads of understanding. The young woman wiped her tears, the weight of her sorrow slightly lifted. The Buddha knelt beside a small child, who offered him a flower with innocent delight. Do you see how joy springs from giving, even without expectation? He asked. The young woman nodded, her gaze fixed on the child's radiant smile. Compassion is a lamp that lights the darkest paths, the Buddha affirmed. It warms both the giver and the receiver. The disciples watched the villagers sharing their modest meal, their unity a testament to the power of kindness. The young woman hesitated, then handed her bundle to a child nearby, who opened it to reveal fruit. Thank you for watching. Buddha's teachings are always with you. Subscribe to our channel and we will see you in the next video. Do you feel the lightness within? The softening of your grief? He asked. The young woman nodded, her lips curving into a faint smile. The disciples murmured their agreement. Recognizing the transformative power of compassion, the Buddha rose, addressing his disciples and the villagers alike. When you feel lost, look outward instead of inward, he said. Extend a hand to those around you, and in their upliftment, you shall find your own path. It is the alignment of your work and sustenance with the values of compassion and integrity, he explained. To live rightly, your means of livelihood must not cause harm to others or exploit the world's resources, Buddha emphasized. The young woman stood taller, her sorrow now interwoven with hope. Together, they watched the sun dip below the horizon, its warm hues painting the sky. Contrast this with the farmer who sows and reaps in harmony with nature. Sustaining life, Buddha said. Ananda asked, Master, what if one's livelihood is forced by circumstance? How does one align it with the path? Buddha responded thoughtfully. Thank you for watching. Buddha's teachings are always with you. Subscribe to our channel and we will see you in the next video.